Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather, and I am going to share my March TBR or Pile of Possibilities, which is insane because there are way too many books. I've had a really good reading year so far. January and February, I have read so many books. And so I think I got myself a little bit too jazzed up for March. And so I have a lot of physical books. I don't know that I can really read this many physical books, but we're going to see what we can do. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do Middle Grade March first. So Middle Grade March by Krista, Books and Jams. And then there's two other hosts, I think Katie and Amanda. I'll link it below, put the announcement video with prompts. I have other videos sharing all about Middle Grade March, but here's what I'm going to be reading from Middle Grade March. There is a buddy read along. I'm waiting to get it from the library. It is Max and the House of Spies, World War II set with magical realism of some Hebrew mythological creatures that are along for the ride. So we'll see how that goes, but I'll pop a picture up here. Then the spies were like one with books on the cover. Well, this is the book of 3. So I don't know anything else about it, but that it is a beloved series. It has 5 books in the series, ironically. But the Chronicles of Peridian. Okay, so that's what it's actually called. And I don't really know anything else other than that. And it's kind of Middle Ages set. I've got an interesting map in here. And let's see if it has. Chapter 1, first sentence. Taryn wanted to make a sword, but Cole, charged with the practical side of his education, decided on horseshoes. Okay, I mean, legit. So middle grade reading, I'm hoping that's what it is for, but I could be off on that one. And then a historical fiction for Middle Grade March is Son of Charlemagne. This is a pre-read for my kids for school. And I don't know anything other than it's about Charlemagne, really. Oh, look, I'm mapping this one too. Look at that. Didn't expect that. And an author's note, which I always like. Dusk was coming down as the head of the long train of men and horses and baggage mules reached the summit of the pass. So, I mean, it's the story of Charlemagne, so it's historical fiction, but it's probably not going to be as gripping as a lot of other historical fictions, but it's helping me pre-read for homeschool, and it hits that category. Then we're supposed to read one with siblings. I'm hoping to reread Wrinkle in Time. This one I may try to get an audio version, but I really love this, and it's been a while, and I don't know why, I just feel like reading it again. So if you don't know, how would I even begin to explain this story? It starts with, it was a dark and stormy night. I love it. How do you explain A Wrinkle in Time? So it definitely has siblings because they're on a journey to try to find their father. I don't know that that's a great example. It does have siblings, but she doesn't really. So Meg and her brother Charles, and Charles is kind of a unique young kid, kind of gets made fun of. Their parents were like these elite scientists who did some experiments, and then there's a friend, Calvin, who comes along for the ride, and it's totally whimsical, totally fantastical journey. And yeah, that's all I'm going to give you for that if you don't know. And then let's see here. And then we're supposed to have one with a name on it. So my middle grade 4 with a name on it is Harlow Morgan and the Sky City by Lindsay Llewellyn. It's a steampunk fantasy. I have read her YA dystopian and loved it, so I'm excited to finally dive into this. Again, man, these authors, they know we love a good map, right? So that's a great map. So first sentence, slow down, kill us, and we'll both be grounded. It's a good first sentence. So I'm excited to read that. Then for a, okay, and then there's one more. It's just a BIPOC author, and I'm gonna listen to Whichwood by Tahara Mafi, and I will post a picture up here. It's also in my middle grade March, and I don't really know anything other than I read the first book, and the second book takes place in the same area, but it seems like it might be a little bit darker. I'm hoping it's not. That was the description I read, and then I was like, I don't want to know anymore. I'm just going to go into it as blind as I can now. But the first book was very much, furthermore, is an Alice in Wonderland retelling with just a lot of whimsy and fun. So that's what I got going on for middle grade March. Let's drop over to my other annual challenges that I'm doing. So I'm doing Read Your Bookshelf Challenge with Chantel Reads All Day. Yeah, Chantel Reads All Day. Chantel, I know your handle. Why am I struggling here? For March, her prompt is something with a weapon on it. Well, let's see here. This one had a weapon on it. This one had a weapon on it. You would think this one has a weapon, but it doesn't. So there, those have weapons. I'm sure some of my other books are going to have weapons on them. I'm going to just fill in whatever one I finish first for that one. And then also, Chantel has an indie book club challenge that she's doing over on Instagram, and I've really enjoyed the first 2 books so far. And so we are reading Night Shadows by Marcus Bittner, and I know nothing about it, and I'm going to go into it completely blind, other than the fact that it's got a map, and I'm going to read you the first sentence, but I'm going to skip the prologue. So chapter 1, first sentence. Your sister will die again, the voice said. She will fall to the same powers that killed, and that's it. It breaks off mid-sentence. So that's pretty gripping. I'm excited to read that. And then Alma is doing a journey through time historical fiction, and I am reading, it says A Child's Tale. So I'm going to read this. Son of Charlemagne, son, that's a child. It's a middle grade book, and it's historical fiction. I'm sure I will read other historical fiction. Sorry, my phone cut off there. But I'm going to continue my journey through the Cosmere and Sanderson novels, which take forever, so I probably will not finish this in March. But I did start it last night, and it is weird. It is weird. What do you expect? It's Sanderson. His books take me a little while to get immersed, and then I usually get interrupted before I can go much further. Prologue was weird and fun, and I don't know, violent. There was magic through color and breath and words, and things coming alive that were inanimate objects, and people killing people, and it was a weird beginning. So I'll give you chapter 1. I'll skip the prologue and give you chapter 1 first sentence. It says, there were great advantages to being unimportant. So yeah, I'm enjoying that so far. Then I'm going to start my next classic. So I'm trying to do 12 classics throughout the year. I'm not doing one per month because my brain can't do that. I get a little too tied down, but I'm going to start Count of Monte Cristo. I am not going to finish Count of Monte Cristo. I will not finish it, okay? But I am going to start the Count of Monte Cristo for like the 10th time. I have tried several times. I wasn't really into reading classic novels back then, and so I struggle every time I would pick it up. And so I'm gonna, it's like 1,200 pages, guys. But I have read 2 Count of Monte Cristo retellings in the last 2 years that I absolutely loved. Betrayal of Eden by Aaron Phillips and Calculated Series by Nova McBee. Just in case you were wondering, neither of them have finished. One will be finished later this year. Anyways, but I haven't actually read Count of Monte Cristo. I've seen the movie, but I know the book's gotta be different and better. And since I love those series of retellings, I want to know what actually happens in Count of Monte Cristo. So I'm going to start on this, and I am going to finish it before December. That is my goal. Before December. I might pick up other classics along the way. I may need a break. I don't know. But I'm going to finish Count of Monte Cristo. If you don't know the story of Count of Monte Cristo, let's just say naive, innocent man is betrayed by best friend, imprisoned, escapes, and seeks revenge. We'll give it that way. First sentence I will give you, it says, on February 24th, 1815, the lookout at Notre Dame de la Garde signaled the arrival of the 3 master pharaon coming from Smyrna, Trieste, and Naples. So not super gripping. Also, the other problem I have is I can do a lot of pronunciations in other languages, but French really trips me up. So there's that. I'm going to continue my King Arthur journey. If you've noticed, next 2 years, I'm giving myself 2 years. I'm trying to read as many King Arthurs as I can. This one really terrified me and I didn't pick it up. I had it and I just like, ooh, it's Old English. It was written in the 1400s. I'm going to struggle. I should have just dove in because it's the first couple chapters were so easy. They're so easy. But it's one of those, like, the chapter heading has a ton of these huge long titles. But yeah, it's so far, it's just King Arthur. There's a volume 2 to it, which I think is going to have more of the knight's stories based on the introduction, what it said, which is really what I want to read. But you gotta read the backstory of Arthur, and everybody's backstory is different. So, you know, we're going to read through this and find out. But I'll give you the first sentence. It befell in the days of Uther Pendragon, when he was king of all England and so reigned, that there was a mighty duke in Cornwall that held war against him long time. So that gives you a little bit of the syntax problems that I'm going to be having. But so far, it's good. It's not like, wow. It's reminding me of one King Arthur movie or show, and I cannot quite pin which one drew from this. But yeah. So I'm doing that. I'm going to continue reading fairy tales throughout the year, and I am hopefully going to finish Grimm's fairy tales in March. That's my goal. We'll see. There's a lot in here. And honestly, I can only read so many fairy tales at a time. And then I'm like, it's a little violent. I have to move on. Or, you know, I just need a break. But I'm enjoying that, so I will continue that. What's next? I'm going to be working on my perfect pairs, which if you haven't seen, that's my personal challenge to myself for the year. And I'm doing both sets. So there's one where you read a fiction and a nonfiction about a specific category, say fantasy or science fiction. So you read a science book and then you read a science fiction book that pairs well with it. And then there's another option where you read in the same category or genre of different age ranges. So like an adult version versus a middle grade. And so I have a book called The Lotus Eaters about Vietnam that I'm going to, which is fiction, that I'm going to read. And that will take care of all my history ones after I do that. I'm going to read this as a middle grade novel for middle grade March, because really all you have to do is read a middle grade book. But I have had this highly recommended by my kids. But I'm going to read this for my fantasy section for middle grade. And then I have a fantasy book that I'm hoping to read that's at adult level that is also about dragons. But that said, I'm also going to read this one, which is a little bit younger version of a dragon book. So this one, I don't really know what is going on in here. Lily McKinley trudged into the kitchen, plodded to the kitchen, and froze. Yeah, that's it. So I don't know much about it other than she travels to another realm and something about her father, like he died, or I don't remember. I don't know. I'm okay, like I said, going into it blind. 3 tasks for a dragon. This is a pre-read for school for next year for one of my kids for Possible Thing. It says it's a classic quest with a modern twist from 2 Irish children's laureates. So Ian Colfer and PJ Lynch. Not sure. It's got some really beautiful artwork in it throughout. So, ooh, that one's a little creepy. But yeah, so I've got some dragon books. And then I'm hoping to get some Michael Morpurgo King Arthur books, because I'm also trying to read some kids books. And then I'm going to read the nonfiction How to Read a Book, and I don't have that with me because my kid's using it for school. So I need to read that as one of my perfect pairs as well. And it is about, if I remember right, I should know because I should have pre-read it before I gave it to my high schooler, but I didn't have time. How to Read a Book is breaking down the genres and how you analyze and look at literature. I think it's what it was. And then I'm going to continue with my, do you see my problem here? This is so many books. My Mother's Education. So I'm going to read How Should We Then Live by Francis Schaeffer, which is Christian living. Continue reading Risen Motherhood, which is Christian motherhood. The Secret World of Weather by Tristan Gooley, which is like phenomenally written, actually, very funny. But it's teaching weather tricks and how to read the skies and things like that. So those are just ongoing. I finish them when I finish them. And then for fun, I have a couple other things. I'm going to continue with the fairy tale retellings because I am loving February. So I'm going to go through Melanie Dickerson's, this is a series actually. And I just found that out today. This is YA retelling fiction, Christian fiction, which is like way too many descriptions. But I don't know anything about this one. It's The Healer's Apprentice. Don't know. Yeah, so excited. And then I'm also going to be reading, hopefully, another middle grade book, Far Beyond the Far Horizon, which would finish this series that I have so far. Ravi clutched the book-sized frame he'd just stolen to his chest where he could still feel his heart pounding. So that's exciting. Check out my previous video about middle grade March for more about this series, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'm excited. A little art heist with traveling through art fantasies. And the last thing I have for March is I am going to be reading some Ruth retellings and the Book of Ruth, hopefully, but that's like a day thing. I could do it every day of the month. I probably won't, but I could, maybe. But I inadvertently bought 3 different Ruth retellings this year. And so I figured, why not? So I'm going to hopefully read them this month. Maybe I'll move it over to April, but I think I'm going to read it this month. I don't know why. I just feel like it. So I have Erin Phillips' A Bond of Briars, which is dark fantasy retelling of Ruth the Outsider, which is a middle grade Ruth retelling, and then Tessa Afshar's In the Field of Grace, also a Ruth retelling. So yeah, I'm excited. So that is what is going on for March. It's a lot of books. I'm not even sure how many books this is, But that is my pile of possibilities. We'll see how many I actually get to, because really I do well with audiobooks, and this many physical books is a little nerve-wracking. But that is what's going on. Let me know what you think, what you're reading next month, whether you've read any of these books or have suggestions. And yeah, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.